While the Willie Lynch letter may have been fictitious, the fact is that during slavery and colonization the white supremacist always used the skin complexion of indigenous, Negro, Indian, Moorish, African, Asian, or black people as a dividing mechanism. In the United States, the enslaver would frequently procreate with so-called Native Americans, Africans, Indians, Moors, and all other people he came in contact with. It's a matter of historical record that every full-blooded person that came under the authority of the white man had the fewest rights, while every mixed-blooded person that was mixed with European blood had more rights. A full-blooded African, for example, in many states, was a slave for life, but a so-called Negro that was born having African and European blood was only a slave for up to 30 years. While 30 years is a long time, it's not a true life sentence. So-called race mixing was so extensive that the white man created laws against it. White women were not allowed to procreate with black men even if the black man was free. If a free black man procreated with a white woman, the sentence for the black man was 7 years of servitude. The white woman could also be sentenced to 7 years of servitude. The offspring, as mentioned earlier, was a slave until he or she was 30 years of age. If a white man in Maryland procreated with a black woman, free or slave, the child was born free. According to the book, The Free Negro in Maryland from 1634 to 1860, there was no accurate count of the number of so-called Indians because they were counted among the Negro. Yet, to confuse things even more, in other areas of the country, there were laws passed to prevent the mixing of so-called Indians and Negroes, because the correct assumption was that the two ethnic groups would increase their numbers and resist the self-imposed authority of the white man. If an indigenous man procreated with a slave woman, the child was, by white law, born a slave. If a Negro man procreated with an Indian woman, the child was, by white law, born free. If an indigenous person procreated with a white person, especially if that white person was a Christian, the indigenous person's status improved greatly in the eyes of the white man. In fact, so extensive was the white race mixing with so-called Indians, over the span of 100 years, the white man gained control of many indigenous so-called tribes through their mixed-blood offspring. So whether we're talking about mixed-blood Africans or mixed-blood Native Americans, the white man held them in higher esteem than their full-blooded brothers and sisters. It was more comfortable for the white man to interact with his light-skinned relatives, who, by the way, he considered more civilized than full-bloods. While the mixed bloods were held in higher esteem, they were still not viewed as equal with the white man. But the hierarchy was established. There was even a skin tone hierarchy within the liberation movement of that day. Apparently, white and mixed race abolitionists had more freedom to speak out against the institution of slavery. There was a closer sense of true diversity in the southeastern United States during what I like to call the 250 years war against the institution of slavery. During this war, light-skinned and dark-skinned, mixed blood and full blood, and even a sprinkle of white, allies fought, bled, died, and killed in attempts to put an end to white supremacy. So don't be ashamed that you have the enslaver's blood in your veins, but don't wear it as a badge of honor either. This article was written by Daku Akabo wa Akatu.